A monster appeared behind the woman, fierce and aggressive, but its eyesight seemed poor. Macy conjured a fireball, but the monster charged directly at her. All of this was because of Abigail. She tried to ambush Macy but was subdued instead. Trapped behind a barrier, she was agitated. Through interrogation, they discovered that she was the true demon queen, strong enough to escape from the men in black. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, but Macy was not ready to release her easily. Meanwhile, Maggie was greeting a new colleague at the exhibition center. As they shook hands, a vision appeared. She foresaw the future a new ability had awakened. At that moment, Macy decided to remove the barrier restricting Abigail. They would use Abigail's information to track the men in black. However, Macy thoughtfully placed a pair of magic restraining handcuffs on her. Abigail woke up in a forest after being poisoned, and the three of them immediately arrived there through a portal. Something seemed to be lurking in the forest, and Maggie was with Harry. She was eager to understand the origin of her precognition ability. After deciphering the prism, a spell appeared, and a large spider materialized. It elegantly scurried away, leading them to move the desk and discover a hidden magical door. Meanwhile, Macy and the others were intently watching ahead. A monster was foraging, relying on sound to track and hunt. Abigail asked them to unlock the handcuffs so she could take down the monster ahead.
Or feed us to it.
The two reluctantly tried to stop her, but the monster had already been attracted, and Mel was too scared to make a sound. A monster appeared behind them, leading to the scene at the beginning. At the same time, Harry found a magical ID and some documents in a secret compartment. They were close to the truth. Meanwhile, Mel and the others found traces of the black-clad woman's venom in the forest. It was clear she had been there. However, Mel still suspected it was a ploy by the woman in front of them. Annoyed, Abigail finally revealed her true identity. She was the daughter of the Demon King that Macy had killed. Her father and brother were both killed by them, leaving Macy and the others completely confused. Harry, using the address on the documents, arrived at a sanatorium, where he used the magical ID to gain access. The woman he met was clearly mentally unstable. No matter how Harry questioned her, she remained unresponsive, but suddenly, she went berserk. After the attack, she gradually calmed down, but Harry was injured. What shocked Harry next was that the woman was a white lighter. What were the elders trying to tell her? Meanwhile, Macy and the others tracked the cannon's lair, where they found a broken horn on the ground. Abigail identified the runes as belonging to the queen's horn. The men in black had taken the cannon queen, and suddenly, beastly fire ignited all around them. In a desperate situation, they fled. Macy planned to use the queen's horn to brew a potion, while Mel retrieved the elder's compass, which they intended to use to locate the cannon queen. At the same time, Harry's visit time was up. The woman was the first white lighter. He requested to see the woman's personal belongings and found a box containing some diaries and visit records. The nurse mentioned that different women often came to visit her and her sister. Things were getting stranger. Harry quickly returned to visit but found no one there. The sisters looked identical. Harry returned to the woman once more.
She's part of you. You don't have a sister, do you?
I'm half.
The elders did this to you.
And you.
Meanwhile, Mel was pouring the potion onto the compass. The amount was too little to be effective, so Mel chugged it down. After a moment of convulsions, Mel successfully linked her mind with the hands. Mel now knows the exact location of the queen. She opens a portal and rushes through.
I think she's trying to track the
group quickly enters the portal, which leads them to an abandoned factory where many magical creatures are imprisoned. Macy wipes away some mist on the glass, revealing a woman with glowing blue eyes. It's the Banshee Queen, a top-tier banshee. They discover through the computer that many powerful creatures are being held here. The men in black are constantly draining their energy, and pounds in causing them to twice. She intends to release these creatures, and with her summoning, the cannon queen breaks free. As the battle approaches, Macy unlocks his hand. Battle seems imminent, but Mel stops her and slowly kneels down. Surprisingly, the queen also goes slightly, then immediately retreats, seemingly thanking Mel. The surrounding creatures are separated, and Harry teleports in. Both groups quickly escape. Back at
Whatever
the
our
command
friend
center,
is up to.
Mel traps Abigail again with a spell. The two then return home, where they find Harry already there, but Macy is missing, causing their faces to change with concern. Realizing the truth, they consider how to rescue Macy from the Dark Lighter. Mel suggests using a forbidden tracking spell to locate Macy. Despite the risks, They have no other choice. They head home and, using Macy's personal item, cast the forbidden spell, which unexpectedly summons a hellhound. Meanwhile, Harry searches the Elder's book for information on the Darklighter. However, it's clear the Elders didn't want White Lighters to know these secrets. With no other options, Abigail comes up with an idea. Since they are twins, Harry can potentially tap into the Darklighter's memories, and Abigail knows how to do it. The two leave the command center, and Abigail uses her powers to take Harry into his and the Darklighter's subconscious. At the intersection of their consciousness, if Harry can break the barrier and establish a connection, he'll know where Macy is. Meanwhile, Mel and Maggie are still dealing with the hellhound. Maggie approaches with food, hoping it will be enough, and it actually lures the hound away. They switch to a different casting medium and try the spell again. Only an item with Macy's strong attachment will work, and a black mist appears in the yard. At the same time, Harry successfully reaches the depths of the subconscious but is blocked by a door that he can't open. No matter how hard he tries, the other side is clearly the Darklighter's mind, and Abigail says that brute force and magic won't break the barrier. There's only one way to open it. Harry takes a deep breath and, after some effort, manages to crack it open. What's on the other side? Meanwhile, Maggie is casting a protective spell on the door, but the hellhound begins ramming into the wall. Harry opens the door in the subconscious, but instead of facing terror, he finds only a painting of a magical castle. They exit the subconscious and head to the castle. When Harry arrives, he feels a strong connection to the place. This place is undoubtedly linked to him. He suppresses his inner turmoil and places his hand on the castle. A memory emerges, a group of people performing a mysterious ritual, and lying there is Harry. As the incantation is chanted, black mist pours from his mouth and is sealed into a bottle. The Elder's assistant used a key to securely seal the bottle, and on the nearby shelf were numerous similar bottles. These were used to imprison the Darklighters they created by splitting them in two. The good part became White Lighters, while all the darkness was condensed into the Darklighters. The woman Harry saw was the first White Lighter. A failed experiment. Darklighters embody all human darkness and are too dangerous, so the Elders plan to imprison them. What remains are the ashes from their destruction. With the Elders' demise, all White Lighters would die, taking the Darklighters with them, except for Harry. His bond with the Elders was severed last season, and it's clear someone has released his Darklighter. Someone is controlling Harry's Darklighter. Meanwhile, Mel and the others find Macy's notebook, which contains a drawing of Harry. Could this be her deepest attachment? They immediately cast a spell on Harry's image, and the hellhound finally breaks through the wall. At the critical moment, a burst of black mist transforms the ferocious hellhound into a small puppy. It turns out the previous failures were due to the wrong medium. The dog's eyes shoot out two beams of light, revealing a set of numbers, Macy's coordinates. Mel and the others study the map, conflicted, but they finally have Macy's location. The area is vast, and maybe Maggie's new precognitive ability could help, but she doesn't know how to use it. Meanwhile, Macy wakes up in bed and heads downstairs to find the Darklighter cooking. They're in the sister's house, and the Darklighter claims he was injured while rescuing her and has been unconscious for 2 days, so his memory might be unclear. He's pretending to be Harry. Maggie, meanwhile, attends a party, determined to trigger her precognition with Jordan. She quickly invites Jordan to sing on stage. Taking a very forward approach, Maggie repeatedly tries to touch his hand and finally triggers the ability with Jordan's right hand. Meanwhile, Macy returns to her room, realizing this Harry is the Darklighter. She tries to escape, but Harry's voice calls from outside. She pretends to change clothes and grabs a bat to smash the window. Outside, there's a transparent barrier. Everything here is fake. The Darklighter Harry appears behind her. Maggie keeps trying to grab Jordan's right hand, but he keeps pulling away, frustrating her. Disheartened, she leaves. As the elevator door opens, a risky idea forms in Harry's mind. Meanwhile, Macy confronts the Darklighter. She's about to act when he pulls out a rune, suppressing her powers. He takes out a phone, intending to use Macy to lure others. Macy refuses, so the Darklighter turns a compass, revealing their location. They're exposed now. It's only a matter of time before others arrive. He tightly binds Macy. Maggie, pretending to have forgotten her keys, finds Jordan, and Mel uses a potion to cast a spell. The two are trapped in the elevator, and Maggie, under the pretense of a blackout, asks Jordan to hold her hand. Holding the left hand doesn't work, but when she grabs his right hand, the ability triggers. Maggie immediately relays the information to Mel, while Macy uses her charm on the Darklighter. Dazed, he unties her, and Macy seizes the moment to destroy the rune stone, but things don't go smoothly. The Dark Lighter isn't easy to defeat. As the two fight fiercely, Harry teleports in, and Macy almost strangles him until he says the passcode. The Dark Lighter appears behind him, leading to another chase. Harry, returning the two to safety, insists on going back to find the Dark Lighter. One of them must die today. The Dark Lighter seems to have anticipated his return, and they immediately start fighting when they meet. As a Dark Lighter, his offensive power is definitely stronger than that of a White Lighter. Harry took the opportunity to give him a small green vial, and as expected, it worked perfectly. The Dark Lighter's powers were suppressed, and Harry, raising a blade, swiftly struck down his other half. Returning, Harry felt conflicted, but in the same grave. In his coffin, the Dark Lighter resurrected just like him. The two sisters were casting a spell, and smoke floated up, transforming into runes in the air. The runes kept shifting, and Macy recorded them one by one. Harry found the matching runes in the Elder's book and translated them using a prism. Maggie, through Jordan's ring, triggered her precognition, also seeing Jordan's impending fate. Whether it was Jordan's life or the ring that could restore the Charmed One's magic, both were crucial for the powerless sisters. But the spell revealed something unexpected. It was a curse from a witch before her death. Who was he? And what had he done? Meanwhile, an alarm went off on the map behind them. The alarm came from a sacred grove, a place where magical energy converges, and they immediately set out to investigate. The grove was named for the sacred trees within it, whose fruit could temporarily make one immune to all magic. But what they found was a broken tree. The sacred fruit had turned to ashes, and with the fall of the elders, the grove had lost its protection. If someone had stolen all the sacred fruit, the consequences would be disastrous. Just then, they heard a faint voice. It was a severely injured witch. The woman was an empath, sensing the sacred tree's crisis and coming to help, but she encountered a horde of demons slaughtering the tree spirits. Normally peaceful and reclusive, they immediately sought out Abigail, but she denied any involvement. She claimed that while she was imprisoned at the command center, the demons had already chosen a new leader. It was none other than Parker, Maggie's boyfriend, the son of a demon king, half human, half demon. Maggie was skeptical, so they returned to the command center, determined to confront Abigail and head to the demon gathering. If Parker was behind the destruction of the sacred tree and the witch's assassination, perhaps only Maggie could stop him. Before leaving, they grabbed a truth serum, and the two disappeared into the portal. Meanwhile, Macy and Harry devised a plan to approach Jordan and retrieve his ring to uncover the truth of the curse. On the other side, Maggie was figuring out how to sneak in, but Abigail simply made a phone call. They were immediately escorted in, and Parker, seeing his sister, was more excited than seeing Maggie. In a flash, he grabbed her by the throat with her magic restraining handcuffs. Abigail was powerless to resist. Abigail tried to defend herself, but one of his subordinates appeared. Meanwhile, Macy successfully stole the ring and attempted to activate her powers, but nothing happened. They cast a spell on the ring, and a cloud of smoke swirled out. Within the smoke, a scene appeared. A man interrogating a witch. He demanded to know where the black amber used to make the ring came from. The witch refused to tell, and the man threatened to burn her alive. Before she died, the witch cursed him, dooming his descendants never to live past 25. And that man was Jordan's ancestor. A group of demons was being tortured, with the former demon queen Abigail among them. The demons had massacred the sacred trees and stolen the fruit that could grant immunity to magic, but Parker was unaware, and to find the culprit, torture was the most effective method. However, Maggie's compassion got the better of her, and Parker stopped the torture at her request. Back in her cell, Abigail was fed slop, and Parker returned to the cell with another visit. Seeing Parker's grin, Abigail had a bad feeling. When asked who killed the sacred trees, Abigail struggled to hold back but eventually confessed. It was her. She wanted to use the power of the sacred fruit to defeat Parker and reclaim the demon throne. But in doing so, she desecrated the sacred trees, and all the fruit turned to ash. The cell door was immediately opened, and Parker was ready to execute her on the spot. In front of the demons, Parker announced Abigail's crime, and someone nearby raised a knife to kill her. Parker stopped them, then sliced his palm with the knife. Abigail's energy was continuously drained. Parker was stripping her of her magic and immortality. For the rest of her life, Abigail would be imprisoned as a mortal until death, a result that clearly pleased Maggie. But in the cell, Abigail's subordinate found her again, and they exchanged a knowing smile. It was all a ruse. He was the one who killed the sacred trees and stole the fruit. The fruit hadn't turned to ash. Having eaten the sacred fruit, Abigail was even immune to the truth serum's power. The so-called truth was all fabricated, and her magic hadn't been truly stripped. Meanwhile, Parker was in danger. The scene shifts back to Maggie at home, declaring she wants to marry Parker that very night. The demons had once sworn loyalty to the Demon King, and as his wife, harming her or the witches would be a grave offense, something they couldn't allow. Once they were officially married, the demons would no longer be enemies of the witches. Despite her sister's objections, they had no choice but to attend the wedding in full dress. Mel, still uneasy about the wedding, drank a potion she had prepared earlier. She instantly transformed into a fly, intending to check if Parker was deceiving Maggie. What she discovered shocked her. Abigail's subordinate offered Parker the sacred fruit. It was clearly a plot between him and Abigail. But Mel, who witnessed this, misunderstood the situation. When she tried to get closer, she was swatted away, nearly killed by the fragile fly's body. Dazed, she cast a spell to return to human form, then immediately found Maggie to tell her everything. But Maggie, upset, accused her sister of spying on Parker by turning into a fly. Meanwhile, the freed Abigail found Harry, falsely claiming that someone planned to assassinate the couple at the wedding. Parker, having eaten the sacred fruit, was immune to magic, but Maggie would be in danger. Macy's face turned pale as Abigail's deception successfully misled them. Everyone had fallen into her trap.